Hi everyone, welcome to the real estate investing show called The Truth About Real Estate Investing. My name's Erwin Cito. This week, what do we got? We have, and this episode is titled Back Injury, From Back Injury, Flipping Corvettes to Full-Time Investing BRRR, Investor with Manny Cabral. But before that, let's do a quick update. This last week, I lost money doing stock hacking. I've always endeavored to be transparent as possible without putting anyone at risk. So last week I lost $1,400 US while stock hacking, while Cherry turned in another 4-figure weekly profit, and combined we were actually still positive on the week. This competition, if you can call it a competition, is Love Serving 8. It could be Love Serving 9 for you tennis fans. So it's I am losing either 8 weeks, 0 to 8 weeks, or 0 to 9 weeks. I'm starting to lose a count. So terrible for me, right? Yeah, stock hacking is just a terrible thing. And then what happened this Monday was I actually made $2,100. So I'm actually up, and I'm averaging close to $1,000 a week US over the last I think 6 weeks. So I'm on track to recover my losses from last week and also turn some more profits for this week. And what has been a fantastic side hustle for Cherry and I, especially during these trying times. We're actually setting up some decent goals for our trading. Cherry wants a pool, for example. I said that I don't really want to spend the money for a pool when I can make money with money. So I asked that we make affording a pool a goal from our specifically our stock hacking. And keep in mind, folks, real estate investing is still the best investment possible. It's just tough to beat the cash flow of stock hacking right now and the opportunity that's available. The funds that we're using for stock hacking comes from real estate, and our next significant funding will again be from our real estate to enable us to do more stock hacking. So these trying times have caused problems in our real estate portfolio as well. I'm quite sure that the value of our commercial property has gone down since we purchased it in February. So so the haters that are out there, you'll be rejoicing that I'm losing money. I lost money last week. I'm likely losing money on my real estate, on my commercial investment property. But the good news is my tenant is still paying rent, and they're allowed to reopen on today. Actually, today their offices are allowed to reopen based on Ontario's plans, Doug Ford plans. So not so bad. They're also paid out of. When you screen your tenants, it's always a good idea to understand their businesses in commercial real estate. So we actually, before we bought the property, we met with the tenant of the property. So their business is they are psychologists. In their business, they get paid through insurance companies. So in my opinion, that's a pretty stable customer. When your customer doesn't have to pay you out of pocket, their customer is paying them out of their insurance benefits. So anyways, I'm pretty sure some of my real estate's lost value, but long term, I'm pretty sure we're going to be okay. I do find it odd that some haters would waste their time listening to this podcast and then leaving me really awful reviews on my iTunes reviews. So it's a funny thing because their accusations are often baseless. Most recently, people have been attacking the whole idea of stock hacking, but I've had guests on this show like Lee Lowell and Derek Foster. They're best-selling authors. They both achieve financial freedom via stock hacking, and they own virtually no real estate aside from their own properties. So I'm not really sure where the hate's coming from, because if someone has success, if I meet someone who has success making money in whatever it is they do, I want to hear more about it, because if they have a repeatable, systemized what they can make a business out of, I'm interested in learning about it. And as you listeners know, we've had past guests in e-commerce and cryptocurrency. In my opinion, two of the tougher places to make money, which is why we spent a little more time on stock hacking, because it's been providing consistent results for myself and a couple of my friends and quite a few of our students as well. A friend of mine who actually has a TV show, and he's had it for many, many years. He told me that they actually disabled the ability to comment on all of his social media, because he too doesn't like reading negative feedback. I'm honestly the same, even though some of the negative feedback posts that we get are completely baseless, and some of them accuse me of just being simply money hungry. That is not That is not true at all. So I'll give you an example. When we ran the course, when we ran the Stock Hacker Academy 2.0, we knew that the timing of it was just following the correction. I knew a lot of past students had gotten hammered in the correction, including some of the world's most famous investors like Warren Buffett, Ray Dalio, right? I'm no different. I took a significant loss during the correction. And so Cherry and I made the decision that we wouldn't charge past students the full price. We charged past students a whopping $100 plus tax in order to retake the course, right? We actually had some past students pay the full price because they're willing to pay the full price. We refunded them their money when they realized their mistake, and for anyone else who did that by accident, we were happy to refund them. And again, this is not about making money for our past students. This is about providing them the best information possible to ensure that they have great results. And then here's what one student messaged me last week after taking the course for the second time. This is what he messaged me over Instagram. Begin quote, "Man, you have no idea how much this means to everyone learning this. It's literally something we'll all be doing until the very end and will benefit our families. My premiums right now are helping my parents who have lost their jobs because of COVID. Many, many thanks." End quote. End of the day, those who put in the work will have the most success. It's no different than real estate. I know many people who put in way more effort than I do in real estate, and they tend to generally generate better results than I do. I know hundreds of people who've lost money in real estate. I know probably more than that who've lost that money in the stock market. But I have clients who've also lost money. I've lost money in real estate, but you know what? We've made a whole lot more money to make up for those losses. It's why I ask guests on the show. It's why we started this whole podcast, because I've seen many things that have been out there taught that don't work. And and that's why this podcast was created. So we could create a community. We could teach and share best practices so that we as a group, as a community, can rise up, create better futures for ourselves, our families, and the communities we live in. Now, speaking of supporting our communities, there are sectors of our local economies that are really suffering, specifically restaurants, services, and tourism. I follow this stuff closely just because I'm a bit of I enjoy reading about economics, and I just like being in the know in these topics. There's a good chance a good number of restaurants will not reopen when COVID's over. There's a good chance at least a quarter. The stats coming out of the States do not look very good at all. At least a quarter are not reopening. So if you're able, please go ahead and do what you can to help out and be a good patron to these restaurants. Support them, help promote them. You're just gonna make your community a better place to live in. For Cherry and myself, we have date night tonight, so we will order pick up from a restaurant. We like to pick up so that we don't put a strain on their ability to deliver. We don't want to eat into their profit margins by having to pay delivery folks. So we're happy to pick up. Gives me an excuse to get out of the home, and we'll probably enjoy our dinner at our new office tonight when we go inspect the work that's going on. And this is how bad things have been so far. And it's really still early in this whole COVID world, because if anyone has been monitoring the news, there could be a third wave next winter. So it could be a long time until things are getting back to normal. And already in my city, in Burlington, a well-known restaurant that was open for 30 years just announced that they're done. They're closing their doors for good. Emma's Back Porch. And then in Crocodile Rock in downtown Toronto, if you're from downtown Toronto or spent any significant time there, you know the place I'm talking about. Also, they were there for 30 years. Now I'm hoping that these business owners actually own the real estate that they were located in. Emma's Back Porch, for example, is right on the lake in downtown Burlington. Crocodile Rock has a nice corner location downtown Toronto. There's a good chance that owning the real estate was a better investment than operating the business. As a friendly reminder, that's McDonald's business. You know, the burger chain with the golden arches? They own most of the real estate that the restaurants occupy. And if you think of McDonald's locations, they occupy great locations. They have corners. They own corners on very popular intersections. They collect rent from their franchisees. It's a good business. People often think that they're a burger business. It'd be interesting to compare how much money they make from the burgers versus the real estate. On to this week's guest, my friend, client, iWIN member, real estate investor, Captain Manny Cabral. He's a great guy. For years, he owned and operated a large-scale construction company that even took on government contracts, like big contracts, like doing major renovations to like high schools, for example. One day, Manny got hurt on the job, and he resigned to a desk job at a car dealership. Manny loves cars, and he's got some good stories to share as he turned his passion into a successful side hustle importing luxury sports cars. Manny eventually made the leap to leave his great job to be a full-time real estate investor, which is what I really enjoy about Manny's application of buying private sales is he doesn't squeeze the seller for every last dime. And he instead shares with the sellers. He's quite transparent with the sellers. Often he'll say you can get more money by listing the property, and he also tells the sellers the number that he needs in order to do a deal for a transaction to make sense for him to be able to have enough profit for the work and the risk that he's assuming. So Manny's a great guy. So without further ado, I give you Manny Cabral of Simcoe House Buyers. Hi Manny, how you doing?
How you doing, Erwin? Always great talking to you.
Yeah, we need to have breakfast again soon. You haven't done it in a while.
You know what? I stopped skipping breakfast now for the past week.
Uh-huh.
I was doing really good. I lost a ton of weight. I don't know if you knew me, and I was really heavy, but lost a ton of weight, and it was all from intermittent fasting.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, huge. And then I got off of it, and then my weight started to come back. I found that if I have breakfast, I continuously get hungry throughout the day. And if I skip breakfast completely, I don't even think of eating. So I've tried it again for the last week, and I literally have nothing. I'll get up, I'll have water, go to Timmy's, grab my coffee, no sugar, no cream. Got to have my coffee. You got to have fluids.
You can't make your own coffee.
Well, I do sometimes, but you know what? A lot of times I'm just going out. Like the last few days have been crazy. And I just got home a few minutes ago.
Yeah,
trying to get a house on market on time up here in Barrie. But I started doing that again. So I don't have anything till about 12:30, maybe 1 o'clock. I have a very light lunch, and then I'll have a dinner, and that's it. And that I took a ton of weight off. I remember once I went from 235 down to 185, just doing that, and it worked.
Yeah,
and
I've kept it. Can't do it.
Yeah, I've kept it off for quite a long time. Still think 195, so it's still far from what I was, but I got to get back to that 185, so I need to drop those 10 pounds.
Very nice.
So, and it's all those things at Timmy's that we don't need, right? When you're grabbing your coffee, don't say no to everything else. She said to me today, "Would you like to get a dream donut?" And I said, "No, I got to take care of the dream body." Anyway, brief description on myself. We'll try to keep it as short as possible. My career spans right from high school right into a construction company. Didn't do college right at that time, but I went to work for a construction company that specialized in interior renovations. They were pretty large. They owned the Dixie Mall. They own malls in Texas and all over the place. So a very large company. From there, I served my apprenticeship, my carpentry apprenticeship, ended up doing project management with them. Left, I think about after my 6th year after I got my apprenticeship license, and partnered up with another employee of theirs. And we started a construction company that specialized in designing and building computer room systems throughout Ontario. So we used to design and build a lot of computer rooms for Ontario Blue Cross, TD, Canada Trust, all those places. So we were doing a lot of that. Anyway, long story short, had a pretty bad back, not from really injuring it or anything, I guess maybe just abuse over the years, because the latter part of me running the business, I wasn't doing a lot of physical work. I was just managing. My partner was out doing management on site on the jobs, and I was always out bidding and pricing and dealing with clients and getting the work for us. But it got to the point where it got so bad I couldn't walk, and I was at home for almost a year and a half, not very mobile. So I went through a lot of therapy. Anyway, making a long story short, again, I knew a lot of people in the car business. Was invited to get into the car business. I originally said no. And then the gentleman who owns Dean Meyer Chevrolet says, it's just going to be for a short while, Manny, just until you get back on your feet. Well, that short while spanned it to, oh my God, must have been almost 20 years. Maybe about 18 years. Yeah, 18 years. So went from there, ended up managing one of the largest Honda stores in Canada. Then my last gig was at Team Honda in Milton. where I actually became the biggest importer of Corvettes in Ontario.
You're flipping Corvettes before you were flipping houses.
Yeah, you know what? I was still doing the construction side and the house stuff always, even through my career. I was always doing stuff on the side. It never really left me. It just wasn't as full blown as it is today, right? So I stayed in there for a while because I loved cars, knew it pretty well, and I started to import tons of cars from Corvettes, Ferraris, Lambos, Aston Martins, Porsches. I remember I had so many sports cars in the showroom one time that Honda Canada came down and gave the ownership and says, "We got to get these cars out of here. This is a Honda dealership." So we had to take a lot of the cars out of the showroom and put them outside the dealership. And the dealership was literally wrapped. You saw this Honda side, and it was wrapped like 15 Corvettes and 5 Porsches and a couple of Lambos. It was crazy, but it was a lot of fun. But, yeah, I was doing a lot of import. I even imported boats. So I started saying, you know what, if I can make money on cars, I can make money on boats. So I started import boats. I was selling boats out of the Honda store. And it was great. But we actually got to be the biggest seller of used Corvettes in Ontario, our Honda store. It was crazy. And we even, branded OntarioCorvettes.com. It was all my doing. So it was pretty cool. Anyway, going from that, I was always dabbling on the construction side because that's in my blood. That's what I know. And my older son, Matt, was running a small construction company in his own. He had finished college and taken engineering and all that stuff. So I sort of talked him into, you know what, we should probably team up and I'll help you manage and get going again. And it built up and it got to the point where we got so busy that I had to resign. I'd take the golden handcuffs off and I had to go full bore into the construction side and renovation side and stuff like that. So that's where I am today, and started doing a ton of second legal suites. Since I was in the business, I knew the code and all that stuff, so it was pretty easy for me. Doing a ton of that, and some custom home renovations, and into flipping, which we're doing quite a bit of right now, and buying off market properties and all that great stuff. I actually just sent out 11,000 flyers today.
To what areas?
All in Simcoe. This was strictly in Barrie. I did 3,500 last week, and today I sent out 11,000 just to different areas. So we're just blanketing the area. And Monday I'm going to be spending probably the better part of my day up in Midland. I'm really starting to study and learning you got to expand a bit. I mean, there's only so many properties you're going to buy in an area. And
yeah, Barrie's not that big a city.
Barrie's, well, Midland's even smaller a city, so is Aurelia. But I mean, I want to expand out to all of Simcoe County, right? And I've bought houses in Barrie where people are telling me, well, a flyer in that area is not going to work because they're more expensive homes, right? It's different clientele. But lo and behold, I bought one not too long ago in one of those nice areas where people told me not to send my flyer to. So, yeah, that's going well. So we're pretty busy.
For the listeners' benefit, explain what's on the flyer. And who's it go to?
On the flyers, the We Buy Houses cash theme. I don't get into the handwriting stuff, any of that stuff. It's pretty professional, but it's pretty simple. And it tells people I'm a local business person, and I do renovations and flip homes up there, and I can close in 15 days, or as long as the seller wants. So it's pretty. I'm not a wholesaler, so I'm not going to tie up their property and assign it everything that I've bought so far. And that's not to say that I'm not going to sign something, because it will get to the point, and that's why I started the buyers list a couple of weeks ago, where I may have more properties than I can physically work on at the same time. So I'm going to have to make, choices at that time. Do I hold on to the property, or do I just assign it now, get what I can get and just move on to the next one? Because of the marketing that I'm doing, it is working. I've got a $1,500 referral on there, and that's the first thing you see when you get my flyer. Just sticks out. Actually, you know what? I got a copy of it right here. Look at this. So that's sort of what it looks like. I don't know if you can see that there. So that's mine.
So folks listening to this is the benefits of watching the YouTube.
Right. So it says get paid $1,500. That's
pretty noticeable.
That's the first thing people say. So let's face it. Most people throw this shit in the garbage, right? Yeah. They get it in the mail. They see a flyer. They throw it out. So the reason I did that, I know that's going to happen, is just to give it a little bit more shelf life. Oh, interesting. Maybe I'll put it away if I know somebody. And I have bought a house from that $1,500 referral, which I will be paying on Monday. to somebody who actually referred me to a house that we're closing on Monday.
For
So
anyone listening, so
it does work.
Manny has it in red font in that's probably like 24-inch font or something, 24 font or something like that.
Yeah, it's
pretty big
the
letters
font on there. It's pretty big letters. So I wanted that to stand out first, so people see that first instead of just tossing it in the garbage, right? So we're doing a lot of that. So we're just blanketing Simcoe with these letters. I talk to everybody. I mean, I've got an old fellow up here who goes around getting appliances from people. So I called him one of my places to pull out old appliances, right?
Mm-hmm.
I said, this guy got to go to a ton of houses picking up appliances from old houses. So he's now all excited. He's wearing my hat and he's got my jacket and he's got a ton of these letters in the house and he's calling me every day, telling me all the houses that he's dropping them off at. And anytime he picks up appliances, he's handing over a letter. And I actually had an appointment today from someone that he handed a letter to. He picked up some old appliances from.
Mm-hmm.
It's just about marketing and talking to everybody about it and getting out there. And I think being honest with people too, I'm pretty transparent when I go see a customer at their house, or a seller, I should say. And I probably talk myself out of some deals, which I know that I do because I like to explain to them all their options. And I do that in every single house, right? Mm-hmm. I just don't go in there and say, this is what I'm going to pay for your house. The one I just finished today, it's actually hitting the market Monday. That lady had 3 different letters. And it looks like we were all about the same price. And I asked her, well, why did she end up selling the house to me? And she said, because I couldn't stand the other 2 guys that came here. So, I mean, I went in, I built a relationship. Mm-hmm. Her dog and me became best friends. And all of a sudden, you know, it's about being transparent and, you know, building relationships. And I don't expect to buy every house, and I can't buy every house. But you know what? You never know. You know, down the road, I mean, she's already called me, so I told a lady down the street about you, and you know, she might be calling you. So it takes time to build. Mm-hmm. Like the wholesale gig is not easy. Like a lot of people think it's an easy gig. It's not. It's a lot of hustle. It's not an easy gig. Yeah. It's a lot of hustle, and you got to send a ton of stuff out, and you got to be consistent because you can't put it out once and say, "Oh my God, I just spent $2,000 on flyers and I got nothing." Well, guess what? That's the business. You got to do it consistently, over and over. Last week, I just targeted a neighborhood that I've targeted twice already. Right, so it's just consistency. I'm building up a plan where once I hit that last neighborhood, the flyers start back first neighborhood. I'm just going to continuously keep on circling. Right, I don't depend too much on the bandit signs. I have them, but I'm really not using them up here. I don't know. I just don't find them to work as well as the mailer campaign that I started. It's working well for me, so I'm gonna stick to what works. Mm-hmm. And we're working on some YouTube stuff and some Facebook marketing stuff, which Darren is looking after. So we're working on the videos for that right now. But yeah,
sorry, Manny, for the listeners' benefit, bandit signs are those signs that people put up on like lampposts, for example. We buy houses.
Yeah, or those yellow, signs they put on lines and stuff, and you get a lot of flack too from the city. I know we had a couple out in Hamilton, and I got 3 calls from Hamilton bylaw, mm-hmm. Saying every time we have to take one of your signs off or fine you $150 or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not bothering them that much, to be honest with you. I'm just sticking to my marketing, my letters, and we're going to be doing some online marketing and some YouTube stuff, and mm-hmm. and just a lot of word of mouth. And everybody I talk to, I'm giving them my letters. I just, like I say, let's send out 11,000 today. I've got 50,000 being printed next week. So we're going to really, really get out there and make that happen. So no, it's going great.
And you're using Canada Post to deliver them?
I'm using Canada Post. I've got a pretty good deal with them. I think I'm paying about 8 cents per letter right now to get it out. So it's pretty good. Yeah. So you can get deals with Canada Post. I just signed a 6-month deal with them. So basically, for the next 6 months, I can send out as many flyers as I want at 8 cents a copy. Right? And when I first sent out my first couple blanket letters, it cost me, I think, around 12.8 or 13 cents. Mm-hmm. And I think it's 8.3 now since I signed a 6-month deal with them. So it's pretty cost effective. It does work. I mean, I'm not at the scale that some guys are out there doing, but I'm also focusing on keeping most of these properties and renovating and flipping ourselves. So we're not wholesaling for the most part. the properties. We're keeping them. So I mean, we've got a total of 4 flips going on right now. One is completed today. Actually hits the market Monday, but then my real estate guy just called me and said, I got an agent who wants to show it before you hit the market on Monday. Can we show it? So I think they're showing it right now. I said, sure. Yeah, it's going good. It's going good. Can't complain. It's busy. It's a hustle, but get tired and I get home. But I enjoy it. Like, you know, I really, really do enjoy it. It's something that I love doing. So, and it's nice actually up here because most of my properties are literally 5-6 minutes from each other. So I can bounce around from doing 3 different deals, and they're so close by. So they're really easy to manage. And I've built a pretty good team now in Barrie, which I didn't have. It took me a while to do because most of my team's out in Hamilton, as you know, and Matt's out there full time. So I'm basically letting them take care of full time stuff in Hamilton, and I'm doing the stuff in Barrie. I mean, I'm still getting out to Hamilton, of course, but not every single day. I still got to get out there. But yeah, it's enjoyable. It's busy, and I like it.
For the listeners' benefit, how many hours are you putting in? Because you hustle. I don't want people to think this is a 4-hour work week here.
I was out for 13 hours today. 14 hours yesterday. Right, from early morning to the time I got home. But I do what I got to do. It's not like I never ask anybody to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. So I got to get down there and scrub a floor to get something done. I'm down there doing it. Right, so I get down there and I do it. Sometimes I get home and, you know, my wife's like, "You physically working today?" He's like, "Hey, Brian Baumler does it. Why can't I?" But I enjoy it. I mean, I'm still a carpenter by trade, so I still got to, you know, I like doing it. I mean, I realize I can't be doing it all the time because my work is getting out there, getting the deal, finding the deals. I can't be stuck in the properties all day longer. I wouldn't have that next property. Right. But there's times in between when I got 2 or 3 hours to kill, or I can help the guys do stuff, and I'm out there doing it, even if it's doing a garbage run with one of my dump trailers. You know, if I got to do it, I got to do it. Obviously, I don't want to do it all day long because I got to look for that deal. But it's a hustle. It's not you know, the glamorous HGTV stuff. Even though I love it, it's far beyond that. But you got to enjoy what you do to do it successfully. Like, I believe that if you don't, you're not going to be successful at doing it. And I enjoy it. I put a lot of hours. I come home and I'm tired, but I feel fulfilled. I had a great day. You know, it was an exciting day. You know, so it's been good. It's been good.
Were you like this right out of high school? You always had like side hustles? Who taught it to you?
Yeah, you know what? When I had a partner, when I went right out of high school into the construction industry, my partner was big into real estate. I was a young guy. I didn't have the money. I couldn't do the stuff he was doing, but he taught me a lot of stuff. And I remember him buying stuff and the markets were down and things were not good. And I used to tell him, "Andy, like, you're buying all these properties and you're flipping them," because sometimes we'd be working on one of his flip properties in between if we were waiting for something to happen on one of our projects. And he says, "How do you do it? Like, the market's crap right now." And he's like, "You know what?" He says, "All I can tell you is no matter what you buy today, 10 years from now, you're going to say, geez, why didn't I buy another one?" So that was his philosophy. So he had properties all over the place. And we were always dabbling with something with his guidance at the time. Because again, I was young. I mean, you know, 20 years old, 19 years old, 21. When 21, I got married. But, you know, I bought a couple of properties with him, and we flipped a couple of properties. And then later on, I bought quite a bit of stuff on my own, but I didn't have the same mindset that I have today when I was buying properties. It was more looking at appreciation and not looking at cash flow and the proper cities and the reason to buy that property. I just bought property because I thought it was great. And the funny thing is, even though I did that, I never lost, which is kind of cool as well. I bought this property not knowing anything. I remember having 3 rentals up in Lagoon City, which is on the northeast side of Lake Simcoe. It's a little retirement community town. Of course, those properties are not going to go up in value. It's a retirement area, right? But they were cool properties. They were on the water and so on and so forth. And, you know, I bought 3 of them and we had them for a while, sold them. And did I lose money? No, I actually made money. And the properties didn't go up in value that much. So, I mean, I said, if I could do it blindly, imagine what you could do with guidance and knowing what you're doing and being taught, you know, from people who've actually done it. And then I started thinking, you know, cash flow and all that stuff. So it was a whole different mindset. So we had quite a bit of a change from how I used to buy a property to how I buy it today.
How do you buy a property today? Like, what kind of math are you going through when you say you meet someone? You meet someone calls you up off one of your flyers, and then you meet them. Like, how you running the numbers so that it works for
I
you?
have, yeah, I have a specific number on what I want to make on a flip, and that number is
Hmm.
40 to 50 grand. Right. So for me to make it worthwhile, it's got to be 40 to 50. Let's face it, the market's great, but you know what? Flipping is not actually investing, really. I mean, flipping is quite
It's
speculative
business.
because you
Yeah.
don't. It's business. It's an active income. You don't know. I mean, things could be great and some crazy catastrophe could happen. You don't know what the market's going to be 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 months down the road. I mean, you could guess at it, but you don't know. So I like to be safe. I know there's flippers out there. I talked to a fellow the other day, and he says, you know, if I can make 25 grand, it says, man, 25 grand is too skinny of a risk for me. I wouldn't touch it. Right? I got to be minimum 40 to $50,000. Right, and that's how I work my numbers. I always work at $40,000, $50,000. I back up my renovation costs, which, you know, by walking through a property, I know what it is. So it's not going to take me hours to figure out what a property is going to be, you know, evaluated what the renovation is going to be. And I look at my carrying costs from my lenders. I look at my realtor costs when I sell it, you know, and I take everything in consideration, the land transfer tax, all that stuff, and I back that out. And if I can see a $40,000 to $50,000 margin,
Hmm.
that's a good property for me, right? And you know, knock on wood, I haven't failed once yet on those numbers, right? So it works out pretty well. So, but I figured out a formula where I can basically, it takes me seconds to figure out what the total rehab and carrying costs and all that stuff is, right? Just based on what I'm paying my lenders right now. You know, I can bring it down to even a per thousand base. I know what a $400,000 house is going to cost me to carry, sell, legal, land transfer tax. All I got to do is throw my rehab, and here's your number, and that's where I come up with my offer. But it's that $40,000 to $50,000 range is where I feel
Right.
safe. That's where I
So
feel safe.
you could do that math on the spot then. You're not
I
going home and getting to a
I can
spreadsheet.
no, I can do that math on the spot. And as a matter of fact, I think I got a clip on your webinar with iWIN that actually shows that math, right? And how you can come up with it. So it's pretty simple,
Hmm.
right? So you'll know $100,000 house it's this much, a 200 is that much, 300 is that much, and it's very simple to do, right? And it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be right down to the dollar, obviously, because land transfer tax and stuff like that changes a little bit, right? And especially if you're buying a house in the city of Toronto, which
Double
I don't, I
tax.
don't, I don't bother. You got double tax right there, right? You got two land transfer taxes. So you got to look at those things. But in the areas that I'm buying, I got a pretty good formula where I can pass by a house and say, yeah, that house is for, I got to pay 400 grand. That's all my costs, not including the rehab. And all I got to do is throw the rehab in and I'm done. Right. So, I mean, I can literally do that immediately. The house we're finishing today, I literally bought that house the same day. I went to see the lady, got inside, negotiated the deal. She was happy with the price. We went back and forth. She says, how quick can we do the paperwork? And I says, do you have a pen? Would you like me to bring one? So I ran out to my truck, brought in the contract,
Right.
wrote it up, gave her a check. The deal was done right there and then. So
Right.
I don't even want to go home and tell her I'm going to give her a price the next day. A lot of people say we
No.
can get a price in 24 hours. I got to do it right away. Like you got to
Hmm.
strike while it's hot. There's other people out there. And the one that we close on Monday, same thing. Guy called me up. I was driving up the 400 actually from Hamilton about a month ago, and he called me up. Can you come and see my house? And I says, yeah. I says, when would you like me to see it? And he says, well, I go to work at 3 o'clock. I work at the Honda plant. This was about 1:15, and I'm in the highway. And I says, well, I'll be at your house in about 40 minutes. He goes, oh, really? I says, yeah. So got there, same thing, chatted for a while. And I like to get a little bit personal with the sellers as well, like to make them feel comfortable. I let them do their talking, and I don't interrupt. Just let them walk me around, tell me everything about their property. They'll start talking a little bit about their life and everything else. You sort of build that little relationship where all of a sudden, I mean, this guy was so happy that he started gifting me things. Believe it or not, he had these really cool things in the house, and one of them was a really cool one of these bubble hockey tables I wanted to get for the basement. And he had this thing down in his basement. I'm like, Russell, this thing is really cool. He says, you like it? He says, yeah. I says, it's yours. I'm like, really? He says, yeah. He said, staying in the house, so take it home. I'm like, oh man, it was pretty exciting stuff. But it's just building relationships, right? You got to make people comfortable. You don't want to make it look like you're trying to take their house away from them. I mean, I'm helping a lot of these people in a lot of senses because they're in situations where they may not able to put the house on MLS, or they need that money really, really quickly. So, and again, I'm transparent and always explain to them the different options of actually selling that property if they've got time. And I'm probably talking myself out of a couple of deals, but I still feel good about doing it. Right? I mean, I had a couple last week that I went to visit. They're 70, 71, beautiful house, and they just called me out of the blue because they got the letter. And after talking to them for a while, I said, you know what? You don't want to sell your house to me. He says, why? He says, well, you guys are 70, you're 71 years old, you're retiring, you're moving to a small little bungalow. They're trying. He says, why would you want to sell your house to me at that big of a discount where you could put your house on MLS and this house is going to sell really quick because it's such a nice house. It's a clean house, and you're probably going to get 60, 70 grand more than I can pay you. And I actually talked them into keeping the house. And they've called me twice in the last week just to chat up a conversation and to thank me for guiding them in the right direction and all that stuff. You know what? I feel pretty good about that because now I know that they're going to have that much more money for their retirement. There was no need for them to sell that house. I could have gone in there and given them a bull crap story about they're not going to get this on MLS, but the reality is I know that they would, and I know the market up here. It's pretty strong, and there's a shortage of single family homes in that first time buyers range. There's nothing out there, so it's tough. So yeah, I've done that more than once. So, but I still feel good about doing that.
It's awesome, Manny.
So,
yeah, I don't like all the predatory investors out there. Actually, I meant to ask you earlier, but you're the first person you were talking about how they sold to you because they didn't like the first two people ahead of you. Were they people I know?
No, as a matter of fact, they weren't people that I know. And one of them has a sign up here in Innisfil, and I don't know who he is. I've never heard of him. And the other fellow, same thing. It's nobody I think that either one of us know. I don't know these guys. But there's a lot of them around. I was at a house on Thursday to talk to a lady, and I'm not buying her house either, but we ended up becoming friends. And she's probably going to list with one of my agent friends up here. But she had 3 other letters, not letters at her house, but actually door hangers, door hangers. But I looked at the door hangers, and they were crap. She called me, and she had my letter from last August in her drawer. And that's she ended up calling me on. But great house, but again, the numbers probably close to buying the house from her, but the numbers just don't work. Right. So, but yeah, no, I didn't know those two. I mean, I know a lot of them out there, but those particular two, I did not know.
Manny, you have some full-time staff that do work for you. So, are they T4 employees, or are they contract? How's it?
Yeah, 2 of them are. The rest are all. 2 of them are T4. The rest are all contract out, but they're basically contracted out, but working for me full time. So, and they like to keep it that way because they sort of feel they're running things a little bit on their own, where they're able to write off a lot of their expenses or gas or equipment and stuff like that, which works out well for me too. But they're all great guys, and it takes a while to build that team because I've gone through team members. Believe me, like everybody does. It's very difficult. Everyone's got issues hiring people. I remember going through, I don't know how many in Hamilton. One of the biggest issues, every time I had a guy who said he was great, he didn't have transportation. And I'm like, what's wrong with all the trades in Hamilton? Are they got all their driver's license suspended? I went through numerous guys like that. Oh, my wife can drop me off, or my sister can drop me off. I says, no, they can't. There's going to be the day where I need you and you're not being dropped off. You don't have it doesn't work for me, right? You got to have your own transportation. You got to have your own stuff. I mean, there's certain tools that we supply, of course, but you got to have your regular everyday stuff, and you got to have your own wheels. Otherwise, it does not work for me. So yeah, I got a little bit of both.
How do you decide? It's just what they want?
Yeah, some of them, that's what they want. They're comfortable doing that, and it allows them to maybe keep a little bit more money in their pocket because they're able to write a few things off now that they're technically sort of subcontractors. Even technically, I guess if you really dissect into it, if someone is working for you as a subcontractor, but they're working for nobody else, they're technically an employee.
Technically, yes.
Technically, yes. So there's issues there. So I'm careful with that, where with some of them I say, yeah, no problem, but you know what? I want to see you working a couple of weeks for someone else a year, whether it's 2 days there or 1 day.
Or weekends. There's
or weekend or whatever. and then technically they're not. But
then you're good.
it's worked out. It works out well. It's a good it's a good process, and we've gotten to the point now where we've sort of got those teams in place, and
Mm-hmm.
I went through that in Barrie as well, and now I've got a pretty decent team in Barrie that I'm really happy with, and it's working fantastic right now.
Excellent. And just a disclaimer, Manny and I are by no means giving accounting advice.
No, no, no. I'm the last guy you want accounting
I'm
advice
the
from.
second last guy then.
I hate accounting. I hate accounting. My idea of accounting is taking all my junk in a shoebox and throwing it at my accountant and say, "Here, you take care of it." You know, that's what happens a lot of time, and it costs me more money because now they're trying to dissect everything. But I don't have time for that stuff. I mean, I'm out on the sites or I'm out picking something up. I don't have time for accounting. I hate accounting. I'm not an accountant at all. So I'm the last guy you want any type of accounting advice from. It's not me.
Where have you been finding people to hire? Indeed? Facebook? Kijiji?
No, actually not. Most of the people that I've hired have all been sort of word of mouth. I mean, I have a great plumber who recommended me his brother, who's a great trades guy, and and his brother's a fantastic drywaller and stuff like that. So it's taken a while to get to that point, but most of them have been recommended by somebody maybe that we're working with, and that's how. In the beginning, sure, years ago, we're always in Kijiji trying to find somewhere or Indeed or whatever. But most guys who are really good are working; they're not out of work. So it's tough, and to get good quality guys, you got to pay the money. I mean, they're not $20 an hour guys. That's why everything is expensive. You're not going to get a great trades guy $20 an hour. It costs big money to have a trades guy on staff, and that's
What's
why
going rate?
Things are carpenters $35 to $40 an hour, right? When you got them on T4, I mean, you're a plus, right? So it's expensive. It's not cheap.
And can you believe there's not enough tradespeople going to school?
Well, no. I mean, who wants to go to school for being a trader? Everyone wants to work behind a computer or something. I mean, I don't blame them. There's other ways of making money out there, right? But there's a lack of tradespeople, 100%. I mean, I got this great kid I ran into up here who just got his plumbing license, and I've tried him on a few jobs. He's working for somebody right now, and he's doing some stuff for me on the side after working on weekends. And I'm talking to him right now, just having him come work for me full time. He's doing a fantastic job, works as hard as hell. Just a young kid, just got the license. From the work that he's doing plumbing, it's just spectacular. And I'm like, man, I should just hire this kid full time. I have my own in-house plumber. So we're talking about that right now. So we'll see how that goes. But I'd love to have him on board, and that way I can have my own in-house plumber. And he's the type of guy that if we're not busy plumbing, he's doing other stuff. Like he doesn't care what he's doing. But so far, the workmanship that he's done, like some of the stuff he's done for me, I'm looking at him like it's stuff that guys that are doing it for 20, 30, 40 years do. He's really, really, really particular about what he does, and he's doing a really, really fantastic job. So yeah, it's all about relationships, and that's how I've got most of my guys. I mean, one of my other guys that works for me up here is one of my tenants, and he lives in one of my properties up here. And I actually met him through a Tyler up here that was working on my house, who referred me to him to do some work for me, and he came and did some work for me. I really liked it, and after chatting for a while, tried him on a few other things, and he's worked out really, really well. So, and it doesn't hurt that he lives in my place and takes care of it as well. And I don't have to worry about snow or grass or any of that stuff, or even maintenance. He takes care of everything, so it's great. And he's another great trades guy, and I got lucky with him working for me. So
cool.
All about relationships.
Well, forgot my next question. You have an interesting story. Like, actually, no, I had another question. Are you making more money now than when you're working in the car dealership world?
Oh, 100%.
You should have started sooner.
I did well. I did well in the car dealership world because I was in an upper management position, and did quite well. My paycheck was pretty hefty, and it's tough to take those golden handcuffs off, right?
Yeah, steady paycheck.
But at the end of the day, it wasn't just about the money. It wasn't just the money when I left, because even when I left, the guys were saying, "Oh, you're crazy. You're walking away from the job that most of us are killing to get. But we're not going to get. It's taking us years to get there." I'm like, you know what? It's not about the money, too. It's about lifestyle. I put in the hours. It's working every day. I worked every single Saturday when I was in the car business, right? So I didn't have a weekend. You have the cottage, you have the boat. You can't enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about time, spending time with your family, spending time with yourself. I mean, getting out there and doing stuff. And I do that more. Right now, I can get on the boat. I can work off the boat, take my laptop. I got my Wi-Fi and everything on there. Couldn't do that before. If I want to head out for a couple of days, I can do it. So we're managing our own time. It's a lifestyle. So it's not just the money, but it allowed me to do the things. I mean, real estate, what I'm doing has allowed me to do the things that I enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's that as well. It's not just the money. The money was great, but yes, am I making more money? Yeah. I mean, the company's making more money. Absolutely. I mean, I'm not necessarily pulling it out. A lot of it goes back in there and reinvest, but yeah, between the flips and the construction side and everything else, yeah, absolutely. We're doing okay.
Are we invited for another boat day in the summer on a weekday?
Absolutely.
That's the best when the boat club's empty. That's so cool.
I know. Absolutely. I'm gonna hold a couple of events up there as well. So
cool. Do you prefer the boat club on the weekend or the weekday?
Weekday for sure. Weekend is I don't mind on a weekend once in a while, meeting people up there and stuff like that. To really get a lot of use out of it, the weekdays are great because you get on the water and the water's not as rough. There's not as many idiots on jet skis flying around and boaters who have no business being in the boat.
Mm-hmm.
So you avoid a lot of that on the weekend. So the waterways are much nicer, much calmer, much safer on the weekdays. So I love getting out there on the weekdays. And a lot of times you do. My wife and I will just take off for the day and head out and have a couple of drinks, take my laptop and throw the Barbie on. And yeah, and I wasn't able to do that before, right? So what price do you put on that? You can't put a price on it, right?
Yeah, that's the lifestyle benefit of having some flexibility in your time. I love being able to do stuff on weekdays when everyone else is, like, for example, like driving up the 400. It's much nicer to do it on a weekday than the weekend.
Oh yeah, yeah. Especially if you headed south in the morning or north in the afternoon.
yeah. Versus we can come up on a Friday morning, come to your boat club. So Manny's boat club is in I forget the name of the city now.
It's in Lefroy, which is a town in Innisfil. It's
Innisfil. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Manny lives up the 400. So if we go visit him on a Friday morning in Innisfil, it's no problem. Traffic's perfectly fine.
Yeah, it's
come
nice.
Friday afternoon. It's disaster.
It's a lifestyle up here. Do we get more snow? Yeah, of course we get more snow. I mean, I remember going down to Vaughan around Christmas, and there's nothing because that's where it came from. And you get up here, and like, oh my God, the snow. But you know what? You deal with that in the wintertime, but summertime, it's just the benefits that we get up here is just it's just great, right? So the parks and Barrie waterfront is beautiful, and Innisfil waterfront is beautiful, and so we try to spend as much time out there as possible. I was actually at the waterfront today taking a lunch break. We went to the house and I came home to grab a couple of things and picked up my wife. I had to go to Home Sense, grab a couple of things to put up at the house and
to stage your property.
Yeah, you know what? I really didn't not stage it, but sort of make it a little bit more homey by putting a few pictures up and a couple of plants and knickknacks in the bathroom and towels and stuff like that. It just makes it look that much nicer when somebody walks in. I'm not putting any furniture in this one. Not that I don't. The one I'm working on now, I will. It's a much bigger, different property. But on this one, I'm not going to do that. I don't think I'm going to need to do that. I think it's going to sell in a couple of days. But yeah, we ran down to grab a sandwich and parked out at the waterfront. And no, we're not looking at water. We're looking at fishing huts. There's a ton of, it's like tent city out there just along Campbellfelt Bay, which is kind of surprising because I mean, about a week ago, I started to see the tents out there. I'm like, holy crap. This is like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. That Campbellfelt Bay was wide open. So I don't know how thick it is. I'm not a fisherman. I don't know anything about that. But I wouldn't want to be driving anything up. Well, you can't drive anything out there. The ice is not thick enough. But yeah, sat out there and had our sandwich and went back to the house and finished up. And we got back home, I guess, must have been about 7 o'clock when I got home. And, yeah, they're long days, but I enjoy them, right? So you work hard, and then if I got to play hard, I do that too, right? So, but balance both.
And you've raised money at your boat club.
You know what? Funny you say that. I have not raised money at my boat club.
Oh,
because I've never promoted at my boat club.
Okay.
Right? I've never had events up there. I've never really told a ton of people what I do. Only now they're starting to see what I do. They started to ask a lot of questions. Because when I generally went to the boat club, it was just to have fun, and I didn't really talk a lot of business, which is probably not a smart thing, but it's just the way I felt. But then people started asking about my cash flow hats and all that stuff, and now they're like, "Oh, we didn't know you do that. Oh no, we want to know more about that." I think people on my street now are getting to know more about what I do because we live in this really cool little subdivision where everybody knows each other. It's very, very, very tiny. So, gotten to be really good friends with most of our neighbors, all great people, all about our age. So now I've got a lot of people saying, "Hey, we got to sit down and talk," and because now they're all following me on Facebook, so they see what I'm doing. And, this is kind of cool. We'd like to invest as well, and so I'm starting to do more of that now. Most of my investors I met through doing projects and stuff like that. So that's where I've got most of my money lenders. And I'm trying to work a big deal right now with a money lender. I don't want to shoot myself in the foot, but it's actually Darren and I had a meeting with him last Saturday. So if that works out, it's going to be huge.
Do they want equity, or is private?
No, they don't want equity, and they approached me, following me on Facebook and Instagram, and it's a mortgage company. They just reached out to me and said, "Hey, can we talk?" So we've been in talks right now. So now we're filling a bunch of stuff and coming up with a business plan for them. And it's basically, make a long story short, it's basically going to be them providing me with an unlimited amount of funds whenever I need it.
Right. That's awesome.
So that's in the works.
Let me know
right
details
now.
when you can.
It hasn't happened yet, so we're still working on it. But they came to me. I didn't go to them, and we've had 2 meetings now. And the original front guys I've had meetings with have presented it to their investors, and they tell me that their investment portfolio is huge. It's in the billion range. So the amount of money we're talking about to them is nothing. Right? To me is huge, right? Because we're talking millions. It's huge. To them, it's nothing. So we're working on a plan right now, and the whole logistics of how it would work. But we'll see how it plays out. I mean, for now, I have a couple of great investors that I work with, and it's been working. It's been working quite well. I think I have a pretty good gig with them. Some people say, how do you get that deal? I mean, I don't know. It's about relationships. It's I don't deal with mortgage companies or anything like that. It's just all private individuals with some money who are happy investing in my flips because they've all been very profitable, and they've all been very happy. And anytime they're not investing in one of my flips, they're calling me, "Where's the next one, Manny? Why don't you have another one for me?" He says, "Well, I got to find the deal, guys. Like, we're not going to get you a house just to get you interest. It's got to make money for me too." So it's about building relationships, and every single one of them has reached out to me. I've never asked any of these people that I actually work with stay for money. So it's actually worked very well. But if the other deal goes through, it's going to be huge.
Let me know when you get it. Anyone know?
I don't know. I mean, I can let you know. I can let you know off the air who it is, and maybe you have heard of them. I'm not sure. It's possible, but we'll see what happens. Like I say, I didn't approach them. They've been approaching me for the last 6 months. So we finally got together a couple of times, and we're coming up with a plan to see how that plays out.
Right. What's your Instagram, Facebook, so people can follow along? Because I want people to have an idea of like what kind of video content you're putting out.
Yeah, well, on my Facebook is Emmanuel Cabral. That's how I'm on there. I mean, I do have a Primo Reno Facebook page, and I have a Primo Investment Properties Facebook page, but I don't post a lot of stuff on there because I have a habit of posting everything on my personal page, which is Emmanuel Cabral, and from there I'll share the odd stuff to my company page. But we're going to be doing a lot more work on the Primo Reno company page right now, and we're actually going to be working on a YouTube channel as well. So we're going to be doing a lot of videos, flipping videos, marketing videos, and I got Darren helping me with that because I don't have time. So just going by his direction, and whenever he's doing shoots and stuff like that, so he's going to be putting all that together for me and putting all that in place. So that's going to be kind of cool. We're going to try to put everything out there. We're doing a bunch of cool videos on before and afters. So we'll see how that works. We'll get that on the website as well. But yeah, I generally like to post. I blast everything on my personal Facebook page. It's just easier for me because I do most of that stuff myself. No one's doing it for me. I mix my personal with my business and everything on there, and I think it gives people a feel of who I am, right? As a family guy and as a business guy, it's all in that one page, right? So, but those are the two easier ones to follow me on. I know Matt just started Simcoe House Buyers.
Oh, Matt did that. Okay.
Instagram
I just want to say it's
page.
handy that you raise boys that help you with your businesses.
Yeah. It's funny because the day he did it, he didn't tell me about it yet, and I got this notification about Simcoe House Buyers, and someone posted Simcoe House Buyers. Someone hacked my account. And I called him up and said, "No, Dad, I just created a Simcoe House Buyers Instagram page. It's so cool. Just start putting stuff on there." But it's difficult for me to post everywhere, right? Because I just can't find the time. Okay, I got to do Facebook, I got to do Instagram, I got to do LinkedIn. It's a lot, right? So I generally bombard my Facebook and then share everywhere else, and then I'll put it on my personal Instagram page where I'm building up slowly. I haven't spent as much time on it as I should have, I guess. But I think that one is also Emmanuel Cabral or Emmanuel 101 or something. But Facebook is where I usually dominate most of my content.
Dominate Facebook. I love it.
Well, not dominate. I don't dominate. I sure as hell don't dominate Facebook. What I want to say is that's where I blast most of my stuff is on my personal.
That's where you post the most often.
Yeah. I'm the least dominant guy out there. So I'm very, very like a speck of sand in that big world. That's for sure.
Manny, we're running out of time. So if folks want to follow you, where can they find you?
Find me on Facebook under Emmanuel Cabral. If you want to check out our websites, it's primoreno.ca, and the other one is primoinvestmentproperties.ca. They are both linked together, so if you get on one, you'll be able to flip back and forth. And if you want to check out simcoehousebuyers.ca, that's my house buying website. So I've got some videos on there and some stuff on there, which is actually working quite well with SEO, and it's starting to rank up here, so it's working well.
That's fantastic. And Darren's helping with that?
No, I've been doing that one on my own.
Oh, okay.
He is going to be helping me with more. Darren's just getting busier and busier and busier in his office because he's really exploding with business right now, which is good for him. I'm happy for him. So I try to do as much as I can and not throw it on him. So, and I don't mind doing some of the stuff. It's not a big deal, but the House Buyers website is starting to work. It takes a while to get up there, and being ranked, and I'm getting leads off of it, and I think those leads are great. Even those leads are probably better than the marketing letters because they're organic. Someone's actually going to have to search for you, right? So I think they work quite well. So that's working quite well. So they can check out simcoehousebuyers.ca.
That's where if they're looking online, they usually look for usually find the other people as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the guys who are spending the most money are on the top, right? So you got to make sure you're on that first page. But that's where they can find me.
None of it's cheap or easy.
Nothing is cheap, but you know what? You gotta invest to get that return, right? And every time we get a little bit of money in, we put that money back into the business and invest it and make it grow and get bigger. That's the only way it's gonna work, right? But it's working great. Flipping business is working great, and if anybody wants to get in touch and know how they can invest with us in some of our flipping projects, they can reach out to me and I'd be happy to discuss it with them and let them know how we can work together.
Sounds good. All right. Any final words, Manny?
No. Other than, get out there. Don't have any excuses. Make things happen and take action, because if you're not an action taker, you're out to lunch. So take action. And get out there to iWIN events, because that's where you're going to find all the action takers.
You missed the last one.
I know I did, and there was a reason why I did. I think I told you.
Yeah. You had a lead on a hot deal.
I had a hot lead deal, and oh man, I wanted to put it off to the next day. And I'm thinking, if I do that, somebody else might get it. I got to go now, but I'll be at the next one for sure.
Excellent. All right, thanks so much for doing this, Manny.
Appreciate it. Always a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks, Manny.
Take care, Erwin. Good night.
Have a good night.